Welcome to the Seahawkers Podcast Victory Edition. Adam, we just went down to Duuuval and we got the W in Duuuval 20-12. My man, how are you feeling?
I'm doing great, man. Nothing like a dub on a Sunday, a cold, wet, nasty Sunday out there. But the Seahawks come through at a beautiful day down in Jacksonville, get us to 4-2. An interesting game. I think it kind of went along the lines, Clinton, of what you and I talked about, you and Phil, Brandon, all of us. It kind of fit that same pattern that we were all talking about throughout the week. And just being like, hey, can you stop the Jags on the ground? And is Sam Darnold going to be able to get it done through the air against this defense?
Yes. You know what sound goes great with a Victory Sunday? You know what sound, Adam?
I don't know, but there's lots of great victory sounds, I'm sure.
This one.
It's a victory beer sound.
This is a victory beer. This is me not drinking. Yesterday, I'm like, oh, look at me, I deserve a medal. No,
there you go.
But it's been at least like a week, and first beer of the day. So cheers to you, because that is a W, dude. And look, it's the NFL. Games are tough. Our defense was friggin' awesome. We're going to talk about all of it, I'm sure, coming up. But yeah, man, let me take this first sip and wet the whistle. Go ahead.
Do that. Let it, refresh the palate. A week's too long to not have beer. I think I'm worried for you a little bit, but what I'm not worried about is the Seahawks defense. We had the blip last week and giving up all those passing yards. And then this week it was better. And I would say it was better up front more than it was better in the back end.
Yeah, okay. Right. There's pretty good concrete reasons for that though. Yeah.
So one would be 7 sacks helps a lot in getting a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence. It also helps that Trevor Lawrence stinks and that Liam Cohen abandoned the one thing that was working for them, play in, play out all game long. And we could talk about that here in a minute. But I thought just the pressure up front really made it so that this defense was able to really shut down this Jags offense through the air.
Yeah, 100%. Let me just call this in real quick because my man here, Ryan911, our executive live producer with a $9.99 super chat, saying overall good performances with flashes of great. I mean, honestly, that if you had to put one sentence in like to encapsulate the game, even the through line was explosives kind of when you need them. Flashes of great throughout defense and offense, and then a lot of some potholes here and there and some speed bumps and not exactly clicking, and we'll talk about that as well. But Ryan, you're the man. Thank you so much. Hey, get your super chats in if you want to super chat or just drop some great comments. But of course, subscribe, all those things. They really, really help out a ton. So please do that. So you want to start on the defensive side of the ball, it sounds like, right? The only place to begin, yeah?
I think that was the start of the show. I mean, holding the Jags to 12 and really setting the tone for the entire game. And if I were to pick my player of the game from the defensive side of the ball, it'd be Byron Murphy. And he was showing out early and often, and just not just the 2 sacks, but he was disruptive all game long to the point to where they started doubling him even a little bit more than Leo at times because he could not be stopped all day, and he made life hell for the Jags offense.
Yeah, we're looking at some of these stats on screen here. So what they end up giving Murphy? They end up Murphy just gets 2 full sacks, which is awesome. A solo, 4 total tackles. This is the sophomore season we were all hoping for, right? You and Mr. Phil do the slump or jump every year. Look, man, this is the dude that we thought we were getting when we drafted him, right? And again, another year paired with Leo Williams, some other help. There's some other stars in this game along the defensive line as well, and some good linebacker play and some good safety play I know we're going to have to get to as well. With that, though, it starts and ends up the middle, Adam. We talk about this all the time. Look, the perfect Tom Brady team, right? That perfect Tom Brady team goes whatever 18-0, whatever it is, and they run into the New York Football Giants, who could put pressure right up the middle, right up the gut, and they lose 2 Super Bowls, man. I know that's one year, but they lose 2 Super Bowls the same exact way. And last time I checked, Adam, is Trevor Lawrence as good as Tom Brady?
I keep waiting, and it turns out no. Still not as good as Tom Brady. Still not as good as maybe the top 2/3 of the league at quarterback, which is a disappointment for him and his hair. But at the end of the day, really the impressive part of what the Seahawks defense did today was just stopping the run. What did the Jags end up for rushing yards here?
Not a
59
lot.
rushing yards on the ground. That is abysmal, and that had been their bread and butter all year. And it's what we talked about before the start of this game. You shut down ETN and company, you make them one-dimensional, and you make Trevor Lawrence with a couple of receivers that have been fairly unreliable to this point this year beat you, and they couldn't do it.
Listen to this. This line should get everybody, if you're not excited yet, over another road W. What are we, 9-1 the last now?
It's
10,
insane.
right?
Yeah.
9-1 the
9-1,
last
I
10 road games, right? Which is just freaking phenomenal. And this is, we got to go East Coast. We got to fly across the country. We got to play a game at 10 a.m., Pacific time, yada, yada, yada. All those things being said, Mike McDonald's cooking on the road, man. But it starts up front, and look at this line. Travis Etienne, 12 carries, 27 yards, a long of 7, and an average of 2.3. Adam, talk about that, bud.
That's rough if you're a Jags fan or an ETN fan, or if he's on your fantasy team. That's a domination from the defensive unit up front. And
sure is.
That's why I said, I saw improvements in the defense today, because it really was that front 7 that I look at and go, that was the difference in the game as a whole. That in the fact that the Jags kicker couldn't hit the ocean from 3 yards away. He was having a rough go today as well. And that played into, this victory today. But at the end of the day, I really do think those cats up front, including the big cat himself that had a sack and was drawing double teams and freeing D-Law up, which was nice to have back.
Yeah.
Freeing B. Murph up, freeing up Nwosu, which is still the hardest name in football to say by an announcer.
How many times could Chris Myers and Schlereth mess up in one game? I think they had a bet to be like, look, we're going to mess up 31 times and just see what happens. Between production and them just not knowing dudes' names, it's like, you get paid for this. This is what you do for a living. It's insanity how choppy. As much as the game was kind of choppy on offense, here and there, boy, oh boy, was that production crew all on their feels at them. They get a F-. They were bad, dude. Bad.
It was tough, and I actually liked Schlereth quite a bit in
too.
some of his commentary throughout the week and all of that. But look, when you got a guy down, when he gets stabbed and commits a felony, and you've got to be elevated from the practice squad up, as Schlereth and Myers were for this game, it gets a little bumpy at times. It's like putting a Nehemiah Pritchett cold. It just, maybe not as good as we had hoped for. There was actually that point where the mics had cut out of the game.
I know, it was 5 minutes. It was great.
It was I remember looking at Brittany and being like, this is perfect. I hope they never change. I could watch every game that way.
I mean, still the crowd noise. That was cool, right?
Yep.
I was just like, what is happening? It was so the very, very end of the game, Chris Myers goes, and the Seahawks take the game, whatever, 20-6. I'm like, there you go, Chris. Way to go out. Incorrect as you were all day. But look, we got lots of great things that are correct things happening here. Let's recognize Carly Perkins, Car, who hangs out in our Discord. She's a fantastic lady. She says, very stressful game, but I'll take the W. Love the improved D, but can't wait to have Spoon, Hall, and or Love back. They're difference makers for sure. So sticking on the defensive side of the ball, and thank you, Car. I definitely want to call out a couple of players. Now, one player we got to go back and watch the tape and probably hear from Coach is, look how the Jaguars scored their touchdown. It was an absolute blown play between a rookie who's played a few snaps and a dude in Shaquille Griffin, who was just called up off the practice squad. And they just let BTJ just roam free. But Adam, that was it, dude. I mean, that was basically it. It was a blown coverage play, and it was kind of lockdown city after that.
It was. Look, what led to that opportunity to have the blown coverage on the fake bubble there is the Seahawks give up another 3rd and forever. They gave up a 3rd and 16 on that drive, which is exactly what they had done against the Bucs on their first 3 touchdown drives. And for me personally, early in the game, I was thinking to myself, oh, here we go again. I guess we can't stop anything that's 3rd and 10 plus, which is one of the most maddening things in the entire universe. But Liam Cohen had an opportunity to attack that side of the field, specifically when Shaq was over there for the majority of the game, because they played a crap ton of zone in the handful of times that they ran either a flood concept or you call it a levels concept. Basically, it's just taken 2 or 3 receivers and running him to that edge of the field to make your zone defender, the furthest one towards the line of scrimmage, in this case it was Shaq Griffin every time, have to decide whether he's going to pick up the guy in front of him or the guy behind him. And he played the guy in front of him a little tighter every time, and they kept throwing it over his head. And they nailed us on that. I mean, at least half a dozen times. And Liam Cohen just went away from it. So thank you for that. That was good for us. But that was the biggest weakness of the Seahawks defense today. And it does show some of the problems that you have when you have 3 of your starting 4 or 5 dudes in the secondary gone.
Yeah, for sure. And we see comments streaming in. Thank you so much. Trying to star some for the offense. We'll get to offense. I'm sure we'll flip the script in a little bit and get over to that for sure. Lots of stuff to talk about there as well. So keep piling them in. We're doing our best to react to them live. I do want to stick on the defense for a little bit, man. So look, D-Law gets 2. Leonard, Leo gets his 1. Nwosu ends up with 1.5. Murphy, we already talked about with 2. Drake Thomas gets 1. So they're spreading the love around. And with all of that said, dude, I like Nick Emanwari down the box, man. Nick Emanwari down the box knows how to play football. He's instinctive. He tackles well. I can eat a lot of crow. My problems with him as a draft prospect was I was like, ooh, when he's like a deep safety, I think he kind of gets lost in space and he kind of gives up the ghost a little bit as a tackler. And I really like different types of safeties that tackle a bit differently. However, if he's doing the bam, bam, cam thing, or if he's down the box, he's kind of a de facto linebacker, well, then we get Travis Etienne going for 27 yards and Emanwari's line, 9 total tackles, 6 solo with the TFL. What did you see from the rookie and did you like it?
I'm right with you, man. I mean, my eyes followed him to the same places that yours did, and that was getting up in the box and making good tackles. And look, the defense as a whole today, the tackling was improved. I mean, that was one of the things that Mike harped on after last game, and rightfully so. And Emanwari was at the forefront of that. I think you're starting to see his role start to develop a little bit because of the time that he's missed during the first part of the season. But there's a clear vision for him, at least from the start, that Mike and Dirty has. Yeah. And it's to get him down in the box and have him getting after it. And I'm just like you, man. I loved it. I loved what I saw out of the Rook this game. And before you're ready to start eating some crow, Clinton, I mean, what, he's played in 2.5 games at this point? Give it a little time first before you accept the L on it. Like, even if it's a good L for us.
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate the grace that you're allowing us there. One other player we haven't really talked about yet, and this is, to me, is very interesting with like, look, I can see when a defensive back is out there, we talk about this all the time, like I like defensive backs who bring their hat in the run game. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like absolutely paramount that you have to bring your hat in the run game. We know what Woolen does. We know what he does well, and we know he covers for the most part well, especially in man coverage, zone, get a little wonky. He is not the best tackler and often not even a willing tackler. I see Shaq Griffin go out there today and get 7 tackles at him. What did you see from Shaq? Because my quick synopsis was very, very sure-handed in what he had to go do. Stepped up, made the tackles, did not allow extra yards whatsoever, and hit with the right kind of a precision and aggressiveness that's the kind of DB I like to see out there. How about you?
From what I saw on first blush, he looked good in man coverage and got attacked a little bit in zone, but that's also some of the play calling as well. But to your point, who did Shaq Griffin learn cornerback from in terms of a peer when he came into the league? He's a very famous man.
So
he tips balls.
Yeah,
he tips balls. He wears a 2 and a 5. And
it must be Richard. Yeah. I was going to guess Richard. Yeah,
exactly. And so he got to learn from Sherm when he first got into the league, and one of the best guys in the history of the league to come up and play and run support. And so he brings his hat at each and every game, just as you put it, Clinton. Yeah. And it's a breath of fresh air in comparison to Woolen. I would love to see Spoon come back. I'm excited about Emanwari's growth. I can't wait for Julian Love to be back. Not that Okada's a bad player, but Love's better, and he's a little bit more versatile. And it all works together better with all those dudes on the field. But I'm not missing Woolen after this game. I'm just not.
Again, last week it was without Shaq to step in there, and it was Pritchett. It got exposed and got exposed really quickly, and then they made some changes. I got to go check to see if Jarek Reed actually played a lot. I didn't really see or notice, but certainly noticed Shaquille. Shaq played good, man. Played pretty darn good.
Played solid football.
I got one more defensive play that I thought was exceptional that I did want to call out, and I think it was a bit of a game changer too. Anything else on the defensive side that stood out? Plays, coaching, scheme, Trevor Lawrence getting happy feet, anything you want to talk about?
I just want to thank the officials for throwing a flag on a play that I thought I might have to break some electronic equipment when Job doesn't catch the interception, pops it up in the air, and then it's caught for the touchdown to be called back. But that was what I was like, are you serious right now? Like, for real? There's no way. But
it was such luck. Yeah, such luck.
I thought Job had a decent day as a whole as well.
He did.
And again, not against the fiercest of competition in terms of wideouts. BTR or Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ, there it is, had some drops today, and that continues a bad season for him in that respect. Travis Hunter didn't really make a lot of noise. They were able to cover up De'Ami Brown well. And at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence, he has those just streaky moments throughout each and every game to where you're like, hey, there it is a little bit. And then it gone.
Yeah.
And it's gone bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and with 7 sacks, which, I was going back and forth with Nate Schutz, who's right here. So Nate saying that was some crazy bad luck. It really was. But him and I were going back and forth in Discord a little bit, which I recommend everybody get into the flock. Go to getintheflock.com for little as $3 a month. You could join the Seahawkers podcast community, get you in the Discord. There's other levels as well. And if $3 ain't your jam, if you don't have it, no big deal. But let's please, if you're watching right now or later, like the video. It takes 2 seconds. Drop a comment when this video is done. It doesn't even matter if it's Go Hawks. Put your MVP down there for the game. It's all good. It all helps. And we're out here doing the work, and we appreciate it because we want to do this with you. But Nate and I were going back and forth. He's like, we should have like 8 or 9 or 10 sacks. And I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely true, and it could have been in a multiverse somewhere else, that could have been what happened. And I was like, yeah, but Nate, dude, but we got, at that point I was like, we got 6, and then we ended up getting a 7th. It's just, I know it's frustrating when a big, athletic, fast quarterback just gets away and then makes a play, but that's why he's paid 50-something million freaking dollars though, Adam.
True fact. And the thing too, to Nate's point though, is if you're chasing edges, then those are the things that you're chasing, is some of those things that could have happened with just maybe a little more discipline, a little better technique, a little more burst, whatever it is. And so I can see that both ways. I think we can say that the defensive line had a very successful day and was the straw that stirred the drink for the Seattle Seahawks today, and still say, hey, there was some meat on the bone. You could take this even another step, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, stuff like, I love the Brooklyn Nine-Nine Andy Samberg meme that's just like, stuff could be 2 things, right? So Nate can be right that there was some meat on the bones, and Marlon can be right saying, hey, Jags have a good line, and getting 7 is really, really great. So I think both things can be true. Look, we held them to basically nothing, right? This is not the offense did not do that much. Trevor we'll flip to the offense in a second, I'm sure, but Trevor ends up throwing the ball. Oh, 1 second. He ends up throwing the ball 42 times? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, Liam Cohen. Geez Louise. I mean, because I know it wasn't effective running, but I don't know, man. 42 times, Adam. I've had a conniption if that was our team.
1000%, because while not having success early running the football, you got to stick with it. And especially if your team is built the way the Jags have been this year, and their formula to success has been running the football well, protecting Trevor Lawrence, not asking him to throw the ball over 30 times, let alone 42 times.
42. That's
insane. When I saw the attempts, I was like, man, he just got away from the game plan. And then to miss out on the one thing that was working for them the best the entire game, in not attacking the sidelines with those levels concepts like over and over and over again. Only did it a handful of times, got big rewards from it, and then left it. And then Trevor struggled from there on out. It perplexing. Young head coach, first time, you're going to make some mistakes. I think this is a game that Liam Cohen's going to look back on and say, there's some things I want back.
Yeah, and we had a great time with Gus Logue of Duuuval22.com during the week, and lots of Jacksonville fans were coming in to What If,
Yeah.
our preview show, and they're
awesome.
like, it was awesome. We love all the comments. They were all super cool, and me and you and Phil and others felt like, I don't know, and Brandon, like, hey, Jags fans are a little full of it right now. Like, they're a little full on, okay, we beat the Niners with a quarterback who couldn't move, and we beat a Chiefs team that's clearly not as good as they used to be. And they just thought, I think many of them thought they were going to walk over the Seahawks. And I think they kind of ran to a brick wall. I did mention, this is a good segue to that, the brick wall, that is. I mentioned one other player I really wanted to make sure we call out, because it was a pretty big deal. It kind of, when the Jags decide to go for two, which I'm always like, what are you doing? Why are you chasing points that you don't got to chase? Thank you. And then we get a penalty. It goes to the 1 yard line. And then Ernest freaking Jones, dude, mauls off his guy, sheds his guy, makes a stick, and then he gets some help in the back end, as you should. But dude, what a play by Ernest Jones to keep it. I think that was ETN out of the end zone for the 2-point conversion. I think that was a pretty big turning point, dude.
Yeah, look, Ernest made a fantastic play there. And the reason why they're chasing points, the reason why they're not kicking an extra point there is, had their kicker made anything that day, including extra points?
No.
If he can't kick it in the Gulf from the freaking beach there, like, you can't trot him out there. And I think Liam Cohen was terrified of that. And I think that explains a lot of the play calls down the stretch where you'd be like, maybe you kick here. But
well, I just want to make sure that we're getting our geography correct, because kids are probably watching. So Jacksonville is on the Atlantic side.
Really? I thought it was on the Gulf side.
I heard you say Panhandle earlier this week, and I just let it go. I was like, let the kid have it. It's okay. It's okay. You live in Montana. Yeah. Yes. Upper
I
east.
see what I'm doing. I'm getting. I see what. No, I figured it out. I'm getting Pensacola and Jacksonville flip flopped in my head.
Pensacola is absolutely. That's Tallahassee, and that's the whole thing there. Then you get the Alabama coast, which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. It's all a swamp filled with snakes. I don't care.
But you could have kicked it into the Atlantic, as it is. Sorry, we got Sam Gelber here. What up, Sam? Another amazing flocker, and thank you with the $12 super chat. Adam, you're gonna like this one, because this is vernacular that you helped develop. Kitty spanked. I'm at the vet with my pup. I say Kura. Wish her well, dude. We wish Kura nothing but the best, Sam. We know you're a good
1,000.
dude, so hope that pup is doing as best as he or she can, and that she's home with you ASAP. But thank you, man, and hope this is making the time go by a little faster if you're waiting there too. All right, Adam. So do you want to flip it over now to maybe the offensive side? What do you think?
Yeah, let's go there, because this is the part that was a little more disjointed, maybe a little bit more perplexing at times, and a little bit more frustrating. So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give the game ball of game balls to JSN for his performance this week. This entire offense was JSN, except for one drive of Cooper Kupp.
Yes, well, a nice drive by Cooper Kupp. Two nice plays.
It was a nice Kupp drive.
It was a nice Kupp drive. But let's put the stats back up on the screen so folks can see them here. And got to go too far down the road to see JSN with 8 for what? 162? Is that right? 162, averaging 20.3 with the touchdown, and of course a 61-yarder on 13 targets. This was not an 8 for 9 game or an 8 for 10 game. I mean, that's a lot of stats across the board that kind of all scream to me. But man, that 13 targets, like you said, this was JSN or bust, and it was like, okay, we got this is Marvel. This is Tony Stark being like, we have a Hulk, and we don't think you could stop him. 13 targets. Does it feel overweight to you and sustainable, or is it hell's bells? It's JSN. Try and stop him. Where are you?
Long term, not sustainable. But for today, that's what you needed to do. We thought about this game coming in as a game where the Seahawks may have a difficult time getting going in the run game and having it consistently flow. And that's something that we saw today. And some of that was the Jags defense played pretty good against the run. And some of it is Clint Kubiak is still doing some inexplicable things in the run game, personnel-wise, that I can't wrap my head around. But with that said, today they couldn't stop JSN. So, just keep feeding him the rock, especially on in-breaking stuff. No chance. JSN showed off everything today. He showed off the long speed. He showed off the technical route running stuff. He showed off good hands. He had the one drop in the game. It was a drop in my opinion anyways, in the second half, and also a good play by the defender.
Yep,
But
good ball, nice play, and probably also that's when he's going to be like, I still want to come down with that. He's JSN.
Yeah, but fantastic game out of JSN, and he really was the one player that carried us, because Sam Darnold had an up and down game in terms of seeing the field well and all of that. He was able to find JSN with some consistency, but especially early in the game, he was holding the ball, looking for longer shots, and he was missing checkdowns right and left where you could pick up that 4 or 5 yards at a time and keep the chains moving, and was having a difficult time doing that early. But in the end, did enough. In the number one thing out of Sam Darnold in this game, Clinton.
Clean sheet.
Zero.
Yep.
Zero picks. Could have had one, but 0 picks, and good day by him. And I think he's the first quarterback all year to get out of a game with Jacksonville without throwing an interception.
Yeah, absolute clean sheet by Sam there. Look, his rating still, you can see it on screen, is still 121.7. So the ratings gods liked him. Only takes 1 sack. I thought overall, the pass pro I thought was pretty good. There were some issues. We will rotate to the run game in a second, because that's where it's like, what are we? Who do we want to be? And why don't we try to be more like that? It's a little foreshadowing. And I think there were some challenges with the run blocking again, but overall, I thought the pass blocking was pretty good. The pass pro was pretty good. The part that is impressive for Sam, though, right? It's like, okay, 16 of 27, that, by the way, hits exactly that kind of pocket of attempts that I was hoping for, even without the run game being successful. I didn't want 30 some odd attempts. I think this is kind of Sam's sweet spot. But boy, oh boy, is he still getting chunk plays. 295 yards, averaging almost 11 with 2 touchdowns. And if you scroll down and look at some of the other receivers too, you got JSN averaging 20.3, AJ Barner with 23.7, sure, on 3 catches, but the big chunk play to open up and seal the game late. And Cooper Kupp with 2 for 40 with 20. So if you've got 3 dudes averaging over 20 per reception, well, look, this is like, this is to me, Adam, is like, okay, take this and kind of lock it away in a good way. Like, that's cool. Yes, Sam could be a bit more consistent. Little credit to the Jaguars also for driving that inconsistency. And can we please add a sustainable run game? Can we please, when we're up 20-6, can we just get a 85-yard or 75 or 65-yard drive where it's mostly driven by running backs and blocks and chewing clock? And I'll leave it with this one and pass to you because you're going to want it. How about K9? Can we give K9 the ball more often? This is the biggest frustration I think you, me, and a lot of Seahawks fans are going to have coming out of this week, dude.
At one point, am I just a broken record on the matter? And I just talk over and over again. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
When you look at the stat sheet and your less talented running back has more carries than your most talented running back for no reason other than your own choice, I don't know what to tell you. In taking him out of the game for entire drives, K9, I just, why? What is the point? And then not only that, but late in the game when you're talking about, hey, can we just get the one drive to get that one more field goal to make this comfy, and then you close it out and you go home. Well, look, I mean, a lot of those third downs, they have K9 out of the game. They got Sharps in, and they're running out of the gun. Like, there was a couple of those drives at the end that Sharps is in. They do everything out of the gun, and then on third down, the Jags blitz, and they did every single third down of that fourth quarter, it felt like. And no answers from this offense at that point. So the combination of getting into gun, getting K9 out of the game, throwing the ball too much, or running out of gun too much, just get under center, get in 12 personnel, put your best dude on the field, and try to cram it over the left side of the offensive line almost every time and call it a day. And then once they do that, and you suck everybody up, then you can go ahead and hit AJ Barner down the field for 70 yards or whatever it was, 61 yards.
Yeah, man. The inverse is tougher. like the inverse, like trying to get into play action before you've established things and trying to go over the middle before you've established things, you're making it hard on yourself, like much, much harder. And you have a talented back in K9. So for him to get back-to-back weeks of 10 attempts, it's blisteringly maddening. And we got Flocktimus Prime saying he's a member out on YouTube. He's a member in the Discord. Yeah. He's a member everywhere. He's the first ever. Let's go Flocktimus, people. He's the best.
Yeah.
It's Keith. He's amazing. He says, Kubiak made me angry when we had an empty backfield on 3rd and 2. And this is, who do we want to be? Who do we want to be? And it is, I saw some pistol today, and that I don't think that play worked out very well. It's right there. And it's 4 and 2. So just like me saying yes. I'm wrong with Imanwari, you're like, hey man, maybe a little early for that, but I still think I'm wrong with him. Even how I was saying, I don't think the dude is a good tackler, and that part I think I'm wrong about. And thank you for your grace again. But with that, yes, we're 4 and 2. So there is time to improve this over the season. Let the earth get a little bit cooler in the next few months. But this is the time you got to get your reps in. And when you're up 20-6,
yep.
You never give a team, look, I know you're not a baseball guy, but in baseball, if a team's like up 5-1, in my brain, I'm like, okay, never let them get the tying run to the plate. You're up 4, right? So don't be in a situation with a dude's up with bases loaded. Like, don't get there. So against Arizona, we're up big. And obviously we escape the desert that day with the W. The Niners come back late. This game, Jacksonville's got the ball and they're down 1 score. Yes, they got to get a 2-point conversion because we stuffed them previous. But like, you're up 20-6 and it's getting late early. Choke them out. And these teams that we're beating like this, they're okay. They're okay. We start to, if we make a playoff run and we get to the playoffs, or we're playing the Rams later in the year, man, okay is not going to cut
it. Very much so. And look, at the end of the day, I see that Marlon has a good comment here, which kind of plays into it. We're missing an Oots.
Yeah, we are.
And I do think that this plays into it a little bit. I think we're going to get back to a lot more, 21 personnel, 22 personnel, that sort of thing, when you get Oots back and you get the fullback in there and you start really pounding it. And then hopefully too, that we see a little bit more K9 at that point as well. It is a little disjointed right now with the play calling. And I guess I haven't heard a good answer from Mike or Kubiak or anybody about the way that they're splitting carries between the two backs. Because even in this game, like, I know that Ken wasn't having the greatest game, but he was averaging a little over 3 yards a carry, and Sharps was averaging under 2. And look, I understand the blocking wasn't great in front of either back for the entire game, but one of the backs has the ability to sometimes make something out of nothing, where the other one has zero ability to do that. So in a game, especially like one today, where you're having a hard time getting it fit up front, why don't you have the guy that can sometimes make you right even when you're wrong? Yeah,
I'm with you, man. It's something's got to give there, and you nailed it. K9 he only averaged 3.4, but that is to Charbonnet's 2.0. And Charbonnet ends up with 12 carries to K9's 10. Last week it was 10-9, K9 to Charbonnet. Now Charbonnet gets 12 to 10. And look, I know the reason is, well, K9 is the 2-minute back. Oh, okay. And really the 4-minute back becomes the 2-minute back. It's like, okay. And he's getting the series is that he gets. Okay. So, mathematically, you're going to get him at least 50% of the time.
Yep.
With that, I'm with you, dude. I'm like, I don't think it's the right call. The offense clearly moves better. And here's the other kind of fallacy. Like, look, we pick up Eric Saubert to be a blocking tight end. He's better than Pharaoh Brown, but I don't think he's amazing. It's like, I think he's okay. But similarly with Sharbs, it's like, well, Sharbs is supposed to be the blocking running back. I think he's okay. Like, I don't think there's such a disparity when you leave K9 out there to pick up a linebacker or a safety coming through the A gap. That K9 can't do the same job, mostly, the same as Charbonnet. So I don't know what's got to change there, but I hope it does, because look, K9's just a better back, man. So, and I know we're draining that point, but hey, I think the greater Hawkera, the Hawkdom really wants to see more K9. Now, we play Houston next week, dude. As we start to think about that and rotate over to that game, Houston is, I think, going to present one of the better defenses. Jags are pretty good. Bucks are pretty good defense. I think Houston's another level of good, stifling defense. What do you want to see? They got to come in. It's a late Monday Night Football game. What are you looking for in terms of like, okay, we're 4-2. How do we get to 5-2 and beat back a team like the Texans from your point of view?
Ooh, that's interesting. And I haven't watched much Texans football this year, to be honest.
No.
To this point, I just haven't.
Me
but I
neither,
do know that they have on that side of the football is a good collection of players, in a very good collection of players. And head coach is a good head coach, a good defensive-minded head coach. I do know that between Hunter and Anderson, they've got a couple of edge guys that you've got to be very, very, very aware of at all times. And so just on first blush, as I start to think about it, you better be more consistent in the run game and be able to get it done that way and take a little pressure off Sam Darnold and keep him in this 25 to 30 pass attempts a game. Start getting over that, and those guys are going to eat your lunch. Also, too, going against a team like the Texans coming up, you can't rely on just terrible throws that make your receivers look terrible from CJ Stroud in clutch moments. Like, if you give him those open receivers and you give him the time, he's going to hit them.
Yeah, I think Stroud is a step up from Lawrence, and maybe a significant step up also.
Yes.
I think Lawrence played okay, and I think maybe he's playing the better football of his career so far, and people can get better, right? This is not like, oh, he's gone, he's trash, he will never be good. It's possible, but Stroud has been good, and he's been good with lesser lines. And on the defensive side, they got Stingley as well. It's just they're aggressive and they are stingy. So let me see this. I saw that Nate brought this up earlier, and Nate's a member out on YouTube, by the way, as well. So thank you. Remember, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. If you're watching, certainly like the video, definitely subscribe, drop the comments, hype the video. They all really, really help. And if you're feeling frisky, then join as a member, as many of you have, and we appreciate you. Or go to getintheflock.com and join the Patreon. All good. But Nate said this, I will say, there's a reason the Jags have a lot of turnovers on D. They have pretty tight coverage. And I guess I'm saying this now as you rotate to the Texans, going like, I think you're right, Nate. And if we didn't like what we saw against the Jags and kind of the unevenness, prepare for more of that against the Texans. I think they're even tighter as a defensive group and as defensive backs too.
Yeah, and I think that they're better up front as well, especially along the defensive line. And that was one of the things that I think stood out a little bit, is that the Sundell Bradford combination there is just, it's tough. It's tough over there on that right side, and Sundell's not good enough to make up for Bradford's mistakes. And if I had one wish going into this week against the Texans, is that Christian Haynes practices really, really, really well and pushes Bradford off the field.
He's got to push something. I mean, he's got his pec injury. He's a second-year guy. I'm a UConn guy. That's where I went. My daughter's going there now. My wife went there. It's where I met my wife. Come on, UConn. And, I've heard Nemhauser talk about this. He's like, look, if you think Bradford's bad, he's like, well, the coaches think he's the best option. And they think he's the best option by a bit of a long shot. It just is to me, and I think a lot of Seahawks fans, this is not like, oh my gosh, I'm on some limb. It's just, how many times a game can we see Bradford on all fours or completely spun around and watching a play go by him?
Yes.
It just happens a lot. And, Benton was interviewed very recently and was like, yeah, the things he showed in preseason, it seems like the game's a little too fast for him. I'm paraphrasing, but it seems the game's a little too fast for him still at moments in the regular season. And man, there was one play we were going at in the Discord where you said something about Bradford. I was like, oh, what is being on all fours, like instantly being on all fours and a guy just going around you? Is that bad? Is that bad posture for a lineman? It's kind of vexing. It's like, man, is there a place to make an improvement? There's got to be some team some team selling at this point who has a decent backup guard looking at you, Cleveland Browns, who want to stockpile a draft pick or two. I mean, I would be into it. And I don't know, people always like, there's no guards out there. Adam, do you think we can make an improvement there if we made a trade?
Doesn't usually happen that people trade away starting caliber guards in the middle of a season. Like it's not common practice by any stretch. But with that said, getting Sundell to play well, believe it or not, getting a better version of Bradford, because make no mistake, this is a better version than last year.
It is. You're 100% right.
Yeah. Yeah. And getting a rookie and Zabel to play competent football in all of that leads me to believe that Benton, who has elevated this O-line from the worst in football to a median type offensive line, that gives me hope that if they could go out and pick off somebody's backup player on some offensive line somewhere that they have seen talent in on tape, whether it's through their pro scouting or when they were back in college or whatever it is, that maybe you could pry one of those guys away and get an upgrade over Bradford. Because it's not just the plays where he gets so far out over his toes that he's out of control and whiffs on everything and is worse than a traffic cone out there. It's the plays like one of the late third down blitzes where they bring a blitz from his side, and instead of picking up the inside most guy, he picks the outside of the two guys coming at him. Obviously, it's tough to block two guys at once. I'm not getting on him about that. But generally, the rules go, you pick up the closest danger first, so the most interior rusher. He doesn't do that. He picks up the outside guy. Sundell, who's got a hand on his dude to the left, then has to turn to the right and try to pick up that interior rusher. Can't quite get there, and you've got sudden pressure in Sam Darnold's face. It's those little plays that makes it so that maybe Sam Darnold doesn't have that extra quarter of a beat to get the ball out and get a completion, that he has to scramble around. It's an incompletion. Now you're punting, you're getting off the field, and you're giving the ball back, only up one score, and it all starts to slide downhill on you potentially.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff that Bradford is costing you. It's not just the ugly ones. It's some of the stuff that maybe you wouldn't see on first blush, but the technique and the consistency in it isn't there.
Yeah, I think you said it well. And, one of the other things that was a compilation of frustration is the way I phrase it, is the goal line stand that the Jags made against us when it's like choices. It's like, okay, do we have to have Charbonnet at the goal line? Like, Canine's not capable of putting his head down, getting 2 yards, and he can clearly make some things out of nothings. And then it was back to back, poorly blocked. And again, you tip your cap to the Jags, but still, it's like, come on, can we give ourselves a shot here? Can we be a little bit more creative now? Now we've been a good red zone team, so it's like, hey, you got to look at the cumulative and be like, we've been a good red zone team. That's just a matter of fact. With that, though, what if we went from good to great and we started putting our best players in and we maybe get a little bit, I'm not saying trickeration. I'm not calling for DJ Dallas Wildcat. I'm not calling for that. But I watch other teams do things that are the inside shovel passes and things that are a little bit more unexpected, and they work a lot. And here we are running into not a great blocking line with not our best running back a couple times in a row. So a little bit of frustration there, Adam. I know we want to rotate it over and finish on a strong point, but I was just trying to leap off of where you were going with, it's not just him in isolation either. It's some choices that expose him as like not being, maybe he's average, maybe, but not being a very strong guard in the NFL.
Yeah, I would say that particular sequence doesn't make me as frustrated as maybe some. And you can afford to do this while you're winning football games. And what I mean is, look, you've decided that your identity is going to be non-negotiable. We're running the football when we're going. It doesn't matter. We're cramming it down your throat and we're scoring touchdowns. Okay, well, to do that, you have to do that. And so you're never going to get better at it if you don't actually practice it with live bullets. Not that a regular season game should be viewed as practice, but if you're trying to become what you say you are and live your principles, then you have to call those plays. Now, Should you have in a different running back, in my opinion? Yes. yes, you should.
Right.
And look,
Clearly.
if you continue to win games and you keep trying this stuff going through the season and it still doesn't come to life by, say, week 9, 10, that's when you start busting out the little clever pitches and the shovel passes and the play actions and jet sweeps and naked boots and all that stuff. Save that stuff so that you can put it on film late in the season and give teams less time to adjust to what you're doing if you're not able to finally get to your destination of just being a smash mouth football team and jellying it right down their throat. So that's why it didn't annoy me in this particular game. It could annoy me very much going down the stretch. You never know. We'll see.
And I like what Sankey, I think it's Sankey Tetzloff, is saying. Bye week sounds like a good time for John to make some phone calls about guards. And absolutely correct. And Nate coming in saying, is Utes able to come off IR after this week? So I think he's got, I believe, he got injured after the second week, right? Second game he got injured, I believe. So 4 weeks. I mean, I think he's just, my guess is that this is something where you're looking at him, Nate. I mean, you know what I'm going to say, like after the bye, right? We play Houston. Yep. We have a bye week, but at the same time, look, we're 4-2. Getting to 5-2 before the bye is tremendous. It's huge and kind of a must have because we come out of the bye, we play the Commanders. I know they're kind of up and down. Doesn't matter. Jaden Daniels is getting healthy and we got to play a primetime game. That's not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. So getting to 5-2 with a Houston team that is percolating. They play good defense. They're starting to percolate a little bit on offense. And they got players, man. They have players. It's a pretty good Houston team. It's I think, in my opinion, by the way, Adam, I think Houston's a better team than the Jaguars. I mean, record be damned. I don't think it really matters. I think Houston's a better football team overall, with a big caveat that their O-line is a bit of a disaster. So if we got 7 this week, how many can we get? Versus the Texans, I guess?
That's a great point. We will talk about that throughout the entire week, I am sure, as we preview the Texans and wrap up this week. But are the Texans a better team than the Jaguars? I would say outside of that one position group, yes, clearly, without question. Like, they're much better. But that one position group is so much worse than almost every other team in the league this year. Like, they're having a Seahawks offensive line type season that it may just implode their entire team. And it may make it so they're not technically better than the Jags when it's all said and done.
Well, the thing we have to do, this is like the non-negotiable I'm after is, look, we got to win a home game. We got to go, like, we're 4-2 now. We've beat some okay teams, and we have a chance to play an okay team back at home, Monday Night Football, under the bright lights in Seattle. Like, this becomes another, to me, it's like, man, what are we? What are we? Are we actually going to threaten for the NFC West? And if so, got to have that game against the Texans. It's going to be a lot of fun. We get the one extra day. We get to watch a little bit of the games right now. Of course, we got the Niners Bucks going on right now. And Adam, before we go, did you happen to see how the Arizona game ended today?
No, as you well know, and everybody in the Discord and everything, not much for a multitasker when it comes to communicating and watching something at the same time. I can do different projects at the same time, but I can't do that for the life of me. So no, I did not see what happened with that game.
Yeah, so they lost, and they lost late. I think it's 31-27. They were up 27-24. And by the way, if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, you watch Jacoby Brissett operate that offense and go up and down the field and hang with the Colts, who are a pretty good team. I don't know. It should be it should get pretty noisy. Once again, in Arizona being like, is Murray even the dude? I know what our answer is. That's like, no, you guys should move on and figure it out, because there's a ceiling with him. Not a short joke. There's a legit ceiling with Murray, and it's not
kind of a short joke.
It's kind of a short joke. Not exactly championship football, but Brissett did a number, but the Colts came through, which is good. We need the Buccaneers to come through. The Niners took the lead 10-7. It's early in the second quarter. Plenty of time there for Baker to do his thing. Need the Bucs to do their thing. Stupid Rams won, but they beat the even stupider Ravens, who can't, scratch their way out of a box at this point. So kind of figured they would do that. They won 17-3 today. K-Lost, no big deal. The biggest thing, Adam, we win 20-12. Our defense continues this is a strong season we're putting together from this defense. We get 7 sacks on the road. We take those Duuuval Jaguars and move them back down a peg and maybe accelerate our Seahawks into the remainder of this 2025 season. I'm feeling pretty good about this W, and I'm excited to talk about it all week long with you and the boys on the podcast.
Yep, looking forward to it. 4-2 is great. Going into, I mean, you've called it like gotta have it. You said must win there at one point with the Texans or that sort of thing. I don't see that game like that at all, but it will be fun to preview that, and I can't wait for the Seahawks to get to 5-2, get into the bye week, and maybe, just maybe, if the Bucks come through today and all that stuff, we'll be at the top of the NFC West at that point and cruising right along.
I love it. Let's give a quick shout out. We have Ryan911 with the 999 super chat. Thank you, Ryan. Carly Perkins. I'll put it back on screen. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Carly, for the $4.99 super chat. We had Sam Gelber with a $12 super chat, and then everybody else who's a member and all the great live comments. Y'all are doing the work. We appreciate you. Again, like, subscribe, hit the buttons, hype. Do all those things. Hit get in the flock. Yeah, it's huge. Hit getintheflock.com. Join us out there and let's raise the Hawkra. We are 4-2. We get the big dub in Duuval. Let's gear this thing up and let's get to 5-2, buddy.
That's right. Kitty spanked. Hayes in the barn. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.